PlayStation 5 is just around the corner, and I thought it's high time that we go down memory lane and see what the PlayStation has gone through. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Himesh here with Explorio Gaming. If you like my content, consider subscribing, and let's jump right into the video. Before the arrival of the PlayStation, there was Nintendo and Sega ruling the gaming world. Their flat gamepads were the industry norm when it came to game controllers. Now Sony, when they were designing the PlayStation controller, didn't want it to be a radical departure from the industry norm. But Teiji Goto, the legendary creator of the PlayStation controller, had other ideas. He had been working on this controller since 1993. Now Sony wanted a simple design for the game console itself, and thus came the box shape with the circle on top for the CD-ROM. But the controller, on the other hand, is a different story. Now when Teiji Goto finished designing the controller, it was the only controller in the industry with grips, making it easier to hold and use. Sony executives back then didn't quite like the design of the controller with grips and a control stick, but with further inspection, then Sony president Norio Oga gave the green light. This design received a massive reception and would eventually become the industry standard. The diamond arranged buttons needed to have symbols imprinted on them, thus giving birth to the iconic four symbols. The triangle refers to the viewpoint, represent one's head or direction. The square is a piece of paper to represent menus or documents. The circle and X represent yes and no decision making. The PlayStation's next trademark game controller was under development for some time, and it was introduced first in 1997 in Japan. Thus the iconic controller DualShock was born. While this was introduced as a peripheral for the original PlayStation, an updated version of the original PlayStation included the DualShock controller. Now the rumble that we are used to from a controller was not introduced originally by PlayStation. The credit goes to Nintendo 64's Rumble Pack, which was introduced in 1997. It provided force feedback while playing games, but here's the catch. The downside is it was powered by an external power source, AAA batteries. The Rumble Pack initiated the concept of force feedback on consoles, which will eventually become an industry standard. The DualShock controller was able to provide vibration feedback and introduced the analog input using two analog sticks. The name was derived from the usage of two vibration motors. The left one is more powerful than the right to provide varying levels of vibration. At that time, the Rumble Pack from Nintendo used to have the same design. In March 2000, 6 years after the original PlayStation release, there came the second generation. The DualShock 2 controller looked exactly like the DualShock 1 controller with only slight cosmetic modifications. The major difference between the first generation and the second generation was that DualShock 2 had pressure-sensitive buttons. This was especially useful in the most iconic game of PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo, when you want to control your gas instead of pushing it all the way to the floor. PlayStation had their best-selling figures with the PlayStation 2. Although the controller design was not a huge departure from the previous version, it worked well for Sony. Sony stuck to what worked and didn't try to fix something that was not broken. Along with the PlayStation 3, Sony released the 6-axis controller. It remained its official controller up until 2008. The name derived from its ability to sense motion in 6 degrees of freedom. The controller 6-axis lacked forced feedback because of an ongoing lawsuit that Sony had regarding the haptic technology, and would soon be replaced by DualShock 3. Rumble technology returned with the PlayStation 3 and motion control became a thing of the past. Any attempt that Sony did to adopt motion control did not receive massive reception. It's evident with the 6-axis controller and PlayStation Move that they came up with. With the return of the Rumble, players realized how much they missed the Rumble technology. People were familiar with the design, and Sony went back to its basics and kept things simple. And then we come to the DualShock 4 controller. Never before has Sony ever paid attention to the design of the controller. The L2 and R2 buttons were designed to be more trigger-like, which in my opinion provided massive comfort for shooting and racing. This is by far the best controller that Sony has come up with. The share button, which was designed for the social media age, came in handy, and the touchpad provided convenience when navigating menus. And guys, drumroll please! The upcoming PlayStation 5 introduced the DualSense. Apart from the obvious aesthetic changes, the primary design stayed quite true to its predecessor. The DualSense will incorporate haptic feedback. The sensation might not be quite obvious as that with the Rumble, but something that you might get in an iPhone or an Apple Watch. L2 and R2 buttons have been redesigned as adaptive triggers. It means that these buttons will change resistance based on your movement. This is nice if you want to control the tension of a bore or control the gas in a racing simulator. The DualSense comes with a built-in microphone. Now you can talk with your friends without a headphone, which is cool. The share button is replaced with the create button, but it might do pretty much the same thing, but the options will be much more detailed. This is the first time in quite some time that Sony is not going with an all-black controller. The only thing I could tell about the color choice is that it is interesting. I think it will go hand in hand with the aesthetics of the console itself. That's it guys, the PlayStation has come quite a long way, and with the new specs that were released recently, we hope that something exciting is on the way. I'll see you in the next one.